do you mean by that? Like targeted advertising? They're targeting you? Maybe that's a reflection of what you look at, because I've never once had Disney reach out to me and try to get me to go.
I also haven't been recruited. And that
so I'm being recruited to Disney. What do you want?
Yeah, I'm saying you must look at some stuff that Disney is targeting.
I can do the things that I look at are not Disney.
Well, I can tell you. Maybe that's a reflection of. Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, it's and Diddy.
I can tell you with certainty that Disney isn't contacting me trying to get me to go. That's specific to you. Chris, we're doing the 2 college football games first, so you got like 5 minutes. What's up, everybody? Hope you all had a nice holiday. Hope you're all having a lovely day. Hope you all have Toledo +7 in your pocket like I do. You love to see it. That pick 6. Best Christmas gift. Best Christmas gift of the year was that pick 6 from Toledo we saw not 20 minutes prior. Yeah, we got a couple more bowl games to talk about. Then we're going to talk about the NBA. And then we're going to talk about NFL football. So let's go ahead and talk Rutgers, Kansas State. I personally don't see any reason why you would take Rutgers. You can put Kansas State up for me. I said yesterday when someone I wasn't able to get a video out for these 3 games, but someone asked me in the YouTube comments, and there was a Kansas State -6.5 at -120. And I don't really see how that would be a bad bet. I mean, Rutgers can't stop the run. They haven't been able to stop the run all season. Their best defensive player was injured right before the start of the year. So, I mean, this has been a really bad run defense all year. I know Kansas State's going to be without Giddens, who's their main RB, but they also got that kid from freaking Colorado there, who's a hell of a playmaker. Adrian Johnson can run the ball. This is still a top 25 rushing attack, even without Giddens. So I just don't see any world where Rutgers is able to stop Kansas State from running the ball in this game. And then on the other side, I mean, Rutgers is going to be without, holy shit, what's his name?
Monungai.
Without their RB, who's their best offensive weapon.
Their best RB's been out since October. They're down to their best running back.
Yeah, which means, I mean, if you're taking Rutgers here, you're putting a lot of faith in Kelly McManus, who has shown signs, but I don't trust him enough. So, yeah, it would only be Kansas State for me here. But like I said, I'm unable to bet this one.
Yeah, I feel the same way. The Rutgers being down to their 3rd running back crushes it for me. He averaged 7 yards per carry in their game against Michigan State. But that's a bad Michigan State team, and it was in the snow. He also broke off a 24-yard run, so really he averaged like 5. Like, there were a lot of holes into what he's done this year. He hasn't been very useful. Granted, he's been behind one of the best running backs in college football, but again, now he's getting a larger share against a better defense. Pretty good run defense too in Kansas State. We've known that all year. It's also being played at a baseball stadium. Those are always very weird games. Like, I don't see it here for Rutgers. They need Khalid Manis to come out and have a really good game. He's a veteran, but I don't see it happening. So I can't bet it either, but if I were, I would be all over Kansas State.
All right, let's move on to the next game. And the next game is Arkansas State Bowling Green. And I didn't place a bet on this one because when I looked last night, there were a lot of question marks on the Bowling Green side. I believe one of their best offensive linemen, their tight end, I think. There was just some questions. Do we have confirmation on who's playing in this game for Bowling Green?
From what I've seen, it says that everybody's playing. The tight end is definitely playing. The tight end's very heavily expected to play. There's a lot of props out for him. So the expectation is their offense is going to be what it was all year.
I don't see in what world Arkansas State's able to make stops against Bowling Green's offense. I mean, he should be able to. Basilek should be able to make throws all day in this one, and I just don't see Bowling Green's offense getting stops. I mean, on the other side, Bowling Green's defense, it is a MAC defense, so it's also not one of the better MAC defenses. I mean, there are probably 3 or 4 MAC defenses I would take before Bowling Green's. This is an offensive team. So, I mean, that kid, that freshman quarterback, well, he's not a freshman anymore. He's a sophomore now. That quarterback for Arkansas State, he's definitely capable of making plays. He's also capable of putting 6 on the board for the other team at any given moment. if I was to bet this game, I didn't. It would probably just be Bowling Green team total over because I just don't see their offense getting stops. The problem is I really don't think it's crazy if Arkansas State kind of goes blow for them for a little bit here, and 10 is a lot of points. That kid, Rayner, the quarterback, he is very talented. Remember, he was freshman of the year in the Sun Belt Conference last year. So in the bowl game, playing for his spot next year, because I shouldn't say playing for his spot, but a kid with that kind of talent trying to show out for some optimism going into next year. I don't think it's crazy if Rayner goes off as well. So my bets would be either Bowling Green team total over or just the over 53.5. But I think Bowling Green team total over would probably be my favorite pick here.
That's pretty much what I bet. I put Bowling Green team total over 34.5. I think they're going to get over 5 touchdowns in this game. I think they're going to score a lot. Should be a graphic in there. If there's not, then I forgot to put it in, but I almost certainly did. What you said, Arkansas State has a terrible defense. Whether they play or not, I don't think the guys behind those guys are any better than the guys that were on the field. And if we're getting Fanning playing in Bazelak's last college game, right? So I really think that there's going to be a lot of points scored here. So that's plus 123 over 34.5. I think the actual number is 32.5. So I mean, you're not really that different. Yeah, I think that there's going to be at least 5 touchdowns in this team. I think they're going to win this game by damn near 30. I think it's going to be very ugly. I know Rayner can make plays. And like he said, the only game where Rayner didn't play that well this year was Michigan. And Michigan's obviously a really good team. So we know that. But I'm going to just play it safe and go with the veteran quarterback, the best tight end in the country. All of that in this type of environment, I think they'll score a lot of points. So Bowling Green over 34.5.
All right, let's talk some NBA basketball. Chris, decked out in Lakers gear. Rob Vino is supposed to join us, but I don't have a response from him. So, yeah, I don't know if Vino's going to make it. But it'll be me and Chris. Vino, maybe he'll show up.
I heard the Loan Sharks are after him, and I'm really scared.
I'm worried for Vino.
I'm worried for Vino, man.
Someone sent out a search team to Vegas. Is Vino from Vegas?
He's from Philly.
Oh, no wonder.
Wow.
I knew I didn't like him.
Even more concerned for Vino. If somebody gets in touch with him, for the love of God, contact us.
I knew I got dirtbag vibes from Vino, but now it makes sense. He's from Philly. So yeah, I sent Vino the link. Maybe he'll make it. Maybe he won't. Yeah, dude, you keep saying the same thing over again, Calandro. The last 30 days, I had one losing week. Just mute that guy, please.
Okay.
My man cannot handle this. Listen, you're not built for this, man. So, Oklahoma City, Indiana. I do have a bet in this game. It's pretty much just riding the red-hot Indiana Pacers. Helms thinks Oklahoma City's to play because they're quote-unquote pissed off that they didn't play on Christmas. I don't know. The Pacers have won 5 straight at home, catching 5.5. It just felt like a valuable bet. I don't like it. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just sharing that I personally took the Pacers at plus 5.5 because they don't seem to be beatable right now. They're not turning the ball over. They're actually playing some defense. And Oklahoma City, yeah, one of the best teams in the NBA, but I wouldn't lay 5.5 on the road to Indiana with anybody right now the way they're playing. So I'm on Indiana.
I can make that case too, Kyle. But I understand what Helms is saying as well. I think outside of like them getting snubbed, because they did talk about it. They feel like they're good enough to be playing on Christmas Day, and could they take their frustrations out here? Yes, this is the number 1 defensive rated team in the NBA. This is the best road ATS team in the NBA. They're 9-4-1 against the number. Highest covering ATS percentage, but I didn't bet them either. I think, like you said, it can go both ways. Don't really want to fade Indiana. It is the first game back home, Kyle. I don't know if you look into things like that. First game back home after the West Coast road trip. They beat Sacramento. They beat Golden State. And they beat whoever that other team was in there too.
Phoenix.
Beat all 3 of those teams. Covered all 3 spreads. I think they've covered 5 in a row now. But OKC also have won and covered. Even the 18 points that they were laying at 17.5 that they were laying against the Wizards the other day. So I don't know. I feel like I know Miles Turner is listed as questionable. I think that's a big piece, Kyle. This line was at 4.5. Money is moving in on Indiana, so on OKC. So I stayed off of it, but I kind of lean the opposite way. But to your point, Indiana is undefeated. They're 2-0 as a home dog so far, straight up and against the number. They beat the Knicks and the Celtics in this spot already this season. So, and they got Boston tomorrow. So that was another thing that kind of made me not want to like them as much with a conference game tomorrow against the rugged Boston Celtics that continue to lose right now. So I stayed off of it, but I definitely could see it going both ways, which is why I'm on the sideline here.
Someone in the comments says Turner is playing. Is that confirmed? Last I saw, he was questionable.
I saw that he was questionable. Let's see real quick. I think he went through. I want to say I saw him that he went through shoot around.
I don't see any updates here.
I don't see any updates either.
Okay, so yeah, I think
he's still listed as questionable as far as Underdog from an hour ago. Okay.
Yes, yeah, it looks like he's still listed as questionable, but yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. And this next one, I didn't bet. I have a feeling, and not gonna bet because I have a feeling, but I have a feeling Miami wins this game. That being said, I mean, the Orlando Magic are 12-2 at home. This team just always wins at home. Their last home game, I believe, they beat the Celtics outright when they were catching 10.5. So, like, doesn't matter if the odds are stacked against them. This team, whatever is going on in that building, whether they got magnets in the fucking rims or whatever the hell's going on in Orlando, this team just doesn't lose at home. So I couldn't, for the life of me, put money against the Magic at home. That would be irresponsible. If I put that down and then just watch that bet lose, I'd be like, what the hell's the matter with me? Like, betting against a team that never loses at home to lose at home. That being said, this is a rivalry game, and Orlando, the phrase we've used on the show several times, kind of the Miami Heat little brother. Even though they have gotten the best of them a few times recently, as a whole, historically, this is a very one-sided rivalry. Miami owns Orlando. If you rewind back like 6 years, they beat the shit out of their little brother, the Magic. So if there's one team that I think could just like knock Orlando off of this little home winning streak, I think it's their big brother, the Heat. So I think Miami wins this game. But like I said, can't bet against Orlando at home. They just keep winning at home. So if I was to bet this game, I would take Miami, but I couldn't actually do it.
I can't do it either, Kyle. And the other thing that you failed to mention, well, let me poke a hole in your argument. Then I'll talk about one thing that you failed to mention. 6 years ago, Kyle, Orlando was trash. Jamal Mosley wasn't there.
I know.
Like that was a little different. But you're right. This is absolutely the little brother. You know, the Magic got another big brother, Kyle. It's the New York Knicks, and that's who they got up next. So maybe the Knicks were the team that actually knocked them off. Remember?
The whole league's our little brother, bro. We're cruising right now.
No. I'm just saying, as far as like, you know, Eastern Conference teams, because that is divisional. It's kind of close, you know, Miami, Orlando. But the Knicks were the one team who actually came in there and actually got the job done. If you remember, Kyle, we just rewind to just a couple days ago. you led with this game. You led with the Orlando game against Boston. And you said I would probably take the points. They're getting 9.5, 10 points. I would just take the Magic here. And me and Lenny were like, no, don't do it. Like they're depleted. Like, don't do it. Not only did the Orlando Magic win that game, but they were down 15 in that game. Tatum, of course, was a late scratch. I get it, but they were down 15 in that game and came back, and just the physicality. Like I like you said, I'm not betting against Orlando at the crib right now. The other thing that I wanted to make sure that I think is noteworthy here is these two teams just played. Opening night, it was +2. I was on Orlando. They ended up winning and covering. The last game that they just played, I stayed off because I feel like the Magic are eventually they're gonna fall off a little bit. I just don't know if it's ever gonna come at home. Cal, the Magic were down, Miami was winning the game by 25 points to start the fourth quarter. The Magic went on a 37-7 run, I think it was 37-8 run, and won the game by 14 points as a 2-point favorite. They won the game by 7 points as a 2-point favorite the other day. I know Tyler Hero came out and said, we owed him one, but I'm Orlando is 9-1 as a home favorite so far this season. I'm not betting against them either. I kind of feel like if Miami doesn't come with that force, like it'll be over, because Miami. The one thing about Orlando is they never feel sorry for themselves. Since they've lost Franz and Paolo's already out. Now they don't have Mo. They've beaten the Miami Heat and they've beaten the Boston Celtics. So like you said, I'm not betting against them. I would feel like an idiot if I took Miami in this spot. Miami is just not that serious about playing basketball this year, Cal, in my opinion. They're like 14-13. Magic's still trying to win every single game.
Does it make you feel differently knowing that Estot's in the comments guaranteeing a Heat win?
No, because I mean, doesn't he always?
Yeah, well, that's the joke. 82 consecutive times he will guarantee a Heat win.
Very good point.
Third straight season of 82 consecutive guarantees.
If he loses this one, I know he's probably been against him twice already, Cal. If he loses this one, he 0-3
But he
on the
types
season.
it out like so confident. He's like, guys, hear me out. We're going to take this one. All right. S-Dot says, Chris, don't make the bet. Let it just be a lead. He's trying to warn you. All right, let's move on to the next game. And we just saw this shit. Charlotte on the road in Washington. Look, I get it. The Wizards might be the worst team in the NBA, but on what point? I said the same thing. Copy and paste what I said 2 weeks ago, whenever the hell this game was. On what planet is Charlotte laying 4.5 points on the road? I'm not betting this game because like I have respect. I have to look at myself in the mirror and I don't know. Right? Like I have to like talk to my family. I have to have some sort of confidence as I operate through my life. But if I was to bet this game, it would be Wizards plus 4.5, just like I said in the last game when the Wizards ended up winning that outright. The Hornets are what, like 1-14 in their last 15 games. I know LaMelo Ball sat out a lot of those, but they've also lost 6 in a row that he's played in. So it's not like LaMelo Ball turns them into a great team. This is still a bad team. LaMelo Ball does give them some more firepower. What the hell is on the screen right now? Wizards are passing.
Oh, man. As painful as it is, Kyle, I'll be on the opposite side here. I didn't bet it, but it'd be Washington here. I just think that with the immediate revenge, the way that they lost that game, this line opened at 2.5, and some crazy people out there. I don't think it's public money that's coming in on a Charlotte team that's 1-9 in their last 10 games. So it'd be Charlotte for me. Washington, coming back home off the little 2-game road trip, probably feeling pretty good about themselves. They were in the game against OKC in the last game. Meanwhile, Charlotte never even showed up against Houston. I was on Charlotte against Houston the other day. They scored 15 points in the first quarter, 16 points in the second quarter, had 31 at halftime. I just kind of feel like they are going to get back to a little bit, better form of themselves. But I can't stomach it, Cal. I can't put my money on Charlotte, like you said, and feel good about myself either, especially without knowing if Brandon Miller's going to play. He's listed as questionable, hasn't played, I think, in the last week since he rolled his ankle. I see a couple of guys on the Washington side that missed that game against OKC, and they look like they're going to play. Bud Carrington, Kumbawale, and Alex Sarr. Looks like all three of those guys will be back. I just want to fade Washington, but I'm not going to do it. Charlotte I think they should be the right side and be able to get the job done tonight, though.
All right, let's move on to the next one. And in this next game, I don't really where are we expecting Atlanta to have such a significant advantage where they should be laying 6.5 points? I mean, I know they've been playing some really good basketball down the stretch. I mean, definitely winning more games than they're losing, no doubt. And I do understand why they'd be pretty decent favorites in this game, but 6.5 through 6 is pretty goddamn key number in NBA. And I don't see where the big discrepancy here is. I mean, Atlanta's going to be able to keep Chicago off the offensive glass, but you could say the same thing on the other side of the floor. Chicago's been a great defensive rebounding team, 7th in defensive rebounding rate in the last 10 games. Bulls have also been protecting the basketball. They're 4th in turnover rate in the last 10 games. So these two teams both run a very fast pace. Should be a back and forth game. Both teams should be able to score. I don't see either team as running away with this game. I think it's just going to be a shootout, back and forth game, and I'm going to be taking if there's a plus 6.5, I'm going to be taking whoever's catching those 6.5 points. Because in my opinion, this should be a 3-point game or less with 2 minutes to go. So plus 6.5 should be a good bet. I'm on the Bulls here. Bet it.
Like it, Kyle. Like it a lot. And the other thing you didn't mention is just that Atlanta, you mentioned them liking to play with pace. What is it? 8th in transition frequency over the last 5 games. Chicago number 2 in transition defense. So they're doing a really good job of getting back. I know they had a couple guys on the injury report.
Both sides do.
Yeah, right. Ayo DeSumo, Josh Giddey, Bogdanovich, and Trae Young. So both guys had 2. Chicago's already beaten them twice this season. It's 2-0 straight up and 2-0 against the spread. And you mentioned Atlanta laying points, Kyle. Not the spot I ever want to take them in. 2-7 against the numbers so far this season. Hawks opponents are actually 9-0 to their team total over if the Hawks are home favorite. So they've allowed every opponent to come into Atlanta and score up and over their team total. There's no way I'd be laying the 6.5 here. I didn't bet it, but it would be Chicago. I kind of wanted to see what happened with the injury report, but it'd be plus 6.5 for me as well. The other thing, Kyle, last thing is Atlanta actually shooting the ball a little bit better from the three-point line. 6th in three-point accuracy over the last 5 games. We talked about liking Chicago against you took Chicago. You didn't take them on the money line, but you took them against the Celtics because the Celtics also shooting a ton of threes. And the Chicago Bulls, don't look now, number 1 defense in the NBA against the three-point line last 5 games. So, if they can protect the rim, we know they're going to protect the basketball. 7 is a big, big number. I would only be with you here.
Yeah. The Bulls have been defending the three-point line very well. One of the best in the league at that. Let's move on to the next one, which is Toronto-Memphis. I got nothing here. I mean, in my opinion, Memphis should be able to name their number. If they want to put up 135 points, they probably can. I mean, shit, their team total is going to be pretty close to that. That's probably a 225 or something along those lines. So I think Memphis should be able to score easily in this game. And I mean, theoretically, they should be able to make stops too. I would imagine they win comfortably and cover this number. I'm a little down on Memphis, though. They didn't cover against the Clippers for me, and they really faded in the second half, and it was ugly. A lot of missed shots there down the stretch. So I'm just a little down on this Memphis team because they just lost a bet for me recently, which probably isn't a logical reason not to bet them, but 11.5 points against a sneaky Raptors team that loves to slip in the back door. Pun intended there. So, yeah, it's just a straight pass for me.
Yeah, I didn't bet this one either, Kyle. This was at 12, I think. 12? Yeah, 12 last night. And the total was at 237, as you mentioned. Total going up. It's up 2.5 points to 3.5 points, up to 240.5 now. You mentioned it. Both of these teams, I got lucky, Kyle, because I played Memphis first half the other night. And they did cover that first half, -3, -3.5. Still 7-3 straight up and against the spread in their last 10 games. But first leg of a back-to-back against the Pelicans tells me that they may want to reserve a little bit of energy for that game in New Orleans tomorrow. And you mentioned Toronto. If they're a road dog, man, super scrappy team. Only 2-8 against the number straight up, but they've covered six of their last 10 games, with one of them being a push. So, if they're getting double digits, I kind of feel like I want to be on that side, even against a really good Memphis team. Toronto will be, for the most part, they'll be pretty healthy. Like Jakob Poeltl missing is not that big of a factor, I don't think, now that Kelly Olynyk is in. But Marcus Smart being out for Memphis also isn't that big of an injury. They are without Jay Huff as well, but I just think that that's a tad bit too many points. I wouldn't feel comfortable laying this number with Memphis. Also, I don't want to play Memphis in the first half because Toronto is also 8-5-1 against the number on the road as a dog in the first half specifically, even though Memphis is the best first half team in the league at home.
All right, let's skip on over to the next one. I kind of wanted to take the Pelicans here plus 7.5. I didn't end up doing it. I mean, what I was really looking at was the discrepancy in terms of strength of schedule. In the last 10 games, Houston's 20th in strength of schedule. The Pelicans are 5th. So obviously we're basing our opinions on these teams based on how they've looked, how they performed in the last handful of games, the last few weeks. And no question, Houston has been head and shoulders better than New Orleans, but they've also played a significantly easier schedule. So a lot of times I would like to make a play on that. Pelicans at home catching a big number against a team that's played some bad basketball teams recently. It's tough, though, because obviously New Orleans is nowhere near healthy. So you could put Pelicans up for me because that's what I wanted to do. I didn't actually bet it. I mean, if Chris is down to co-sign it, I'd bet the Pelicans at plus 7.5.
It does kind of feel, Kyle, like it's a fat and happy spot for the Rockets, right? The Rockets they went on the road. This is third straight home road game for them. They went on the road.
Hold on, real quick, Chris. This is the third person to say this in the comments. What is everyone mad at the Lakers for? They won last night.
Because everybody probably faded them. I took them. That was the only thing I got right yesterday.
I didn't bet the Lakers, but I said Lakers. But they were underdogs. They won outright. What did they do that had everyone mad? Because it wasn't just one person. A bunch of people said that.
Yeah, probably covered.
Oh, so
everybody probably faded them. Golden State had won 3 in a row before, so that would be my guess. And with no Anthony Davis, people probably just turned the game off. Like, oh yeah, Golden State's definitely gonna come back and win. And the Lakers, Golden State got a lot of problems right now.
Yeah, they look terrible.
more than the Lakers.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No.
A fat and happy spot for Houston. You said
a fat and happy spot. So Houston went on the road. I think it was Sunday. They got the win in Toronto, but didn't cover. And then it was the first leg of a back-to-back. And I told you I really like Charlotte in that spot because teams flying out of Toronto coming back into the States were only 3-11 against the spread if they were unrested in the next game. Houston, however, goes into Charlotte and has like a 25-point lead at halftime without Dylan Brooks. And this is not a great offensive team. So it does kind of feel like, they probably opened their Christmas gifts and, feeling real good about themselves. And they're not a great offensive team. We know that, which in my opinion means that the Pelicans should be able to hang around. Did we get an update? Because I know Dylan Brooks is going to continue to be out, but did we get an update on Trey Murphy? He's listed as questionable. And you mentioned it, Kyle. This team has so many injuries. I couldn't play him without Trey Murphy. He stretches the floor. Like, you know what I mean? Like he can rebound the basketball. He can play make. I would definitely want him in. And then I would be with you. This is at 8.5 and it's down now. So I would be right there with you. Specifically, Kyle, this is the way I would play it. I've seen this Pelicans team I don't know if they're trying to tank or, they just run out of gas for whatever reason. But I've seen them have a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter, at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and then lose the game outright. I just saw that against Denver the other day. So 9-2 ATS in the first half at home is the way that I would play them as a home dog. 9-2. I would probably jump on them early, thinking that the Rockets, come out a little flat. We just saw them come out flat. They came out flat in the Toronto game. They were down by 6. And I ended up live betting them at halftime. They ended up coming back and winning the game, but they were down by 6 to Toronto. And I think if Toronto can do that, I think the Pelicans can as well, catching about 4.5 at the crib in the first half.
Pelicans first half, 4.5 you got. I like that.
That's what I would play it, yeah. Give me 2 possessions. I think they can keep it within that. If I would need Trey Murphy,
Yeah, I hear you on that. All right, let's move on to the next one, which is Brooklyn, Milwaukee. This is a straight pass for me. Didn't even look at it. I only have one bet left, and it's in the last game.
I thought you was gonna carry that one, Kyle. I got nothing here, man. What I will say is, so Giannis and Dame were still listed as questionable, right? I think that was one of the reasons why I just kind of glossed over it. Yeah, Giannis is questionable. Dame is questionable. I don't think Dame hasn't played since they won the Cup game. Brooklyn, they actually doing what they wanted to do. They still playing hard, but they're not scoring because they don't have anybody to score the basketball. You also got Ben Simmons listed as questionable. Like, this is a complete pass.
And,
but I will say
Finney Smith is questionable too.
And he's finished. So Brooklyn scored 95 points against Miami in their last game. They scored 94 to Utah. Like, that's pretty telling. When you score 94 points to Utah, 101 against Toronto, 101 against Cleveland. And I think that was the last game that Dennis Schroeder played before getting traded, because he played in the Memphis game before. So 101, 101, 94, 95. I guess that's just the under. But we've lost, 8 points of value? This opened at 216.5. It's down to 207. So I know that the Milwaukee Bucks are also 4-1 to the under in their last 5 games. So I guess it'd be an under spot. But if Dame and Giannis gets ruled in, maybe then you hop in on the over, because Milwaukee should be able to kind of name the number in this game, especially with the total being at 207.5.
All right, let's skip over to the next one. Utah, Portland. I didn't look at this game, but I'm down to look at it right now. We got Clarkson out, John Collins out, Keontae George out, Robert Williams III questionable on the Portland side. So Portland's definitely the healthier team.
Double revenge, double in-season revenge, Kyle. Let's make sure we mention that.
So it sounds like you're liking Portland. The problem is, can you trust the Blazers to keep Utah off the offensive glass? Now, not having John Collins out there helps.
Big.
But Markkanen's out there, and so is Walker Kessler. So, I mean, with just Ayton and Jeremy Grant as the front court on the other side, you
don't forget about Klinger.
How many minutes a night is he playing?
He's playing like 17, 18. Last game of a 5-game road trip, Cal. First game back on the West Coast.
I don't know. All right, it sounds like you're on Portland. You're on Chauncey, I guess.
So it's the double in season revenge for me. Last time they played, they lost by 42 to this team, 141 to 99, and that was a game without Lauri Markkanen. They got booed off the floor. This happened just like a week ago too. No, I'm sorry, longer than a week ago, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Got booed off the floor, and I just feel like Utah, was playing really good. They went on that the East Coast road trip. I think they covered all 3 games, beat Brooklyn outright. play Cleveland close too. I think they still ended up losing the game by 14, but they covered, I think it was 16 and a half or whatever that number was, or 10, whatever it was, they covered it. This just feels like a Portland spot here, Kyle. Back-to-back losses for them, both by 20 points. You get swept. I know it's a rebuild year for both teams. They both stink. Don't get it twisted. But you're gonna go 0-3, and one of those losses is gonna be by 40 points to the Utah Jazz of all teams? I don't think so. I think with a super short number, that's why I'm comfortable laying it, because it's such a super short number. You can get a money line at minus 145 right now. I do feel like they're the right side. Like you mentioned, no Jordan Clarkson off the bench. John Collins' numbers on off are like astronomical. I don't think people really pay too much attention to those. And then Keontae George is their primary ball handler. You still got what's his name, Colin Sexton. But outside of him, Kyle, with no Keontae George and no Jordan Clarkson, who is their primary ball handler? What does Utah do a lot of? Turn the ball over. Now you're taking out two primary ball handlers. I'll take Portland here. It's an ugly spot, Kyle. I know.
I probably would lean towards the other side. But I'm not. I think just looking at recent game logs, it seems like Utah's pretty considerably the better team here right now. But I'm good on this. Last NBA game up, did you take the Pistons?
I did not. I bet Sacramento first half.
Really?
Yeah, it's the ugly spots for me today, Kyle. Ugly spots. We got a team that's lost
like the
5
Pistons.
straight. You do? It makes sense. It makes sense to like the Kings are 0-5 against the number in their last 5 games. And they look absolutely terrible. And that's the reason why I'm betting them here. I think Detroit coming off the big win against the Lakers, teams typically, when you beat the Lakers as a dog and then you get to stay in LA, which is what they did because, short travel from LA to Sacramento, a super young team like them as well, they probably went out, had a few drinks, they probably partied a little bit. And I think this is the super motivational spot for Sacramento coming off, like I said, they got booed off the floor in their last game as well. So I'm taking the ugly teams here, Kyle. I tried to take the pretty teams yesterday. They all let me down. Dallas let me down. They couldn't beat Minnesota. You're
calling
Knicks
the
let
Pistons.
me down.
You're calling the Pistons the pretty team in this one?
Yeah, absolutely. The Pistons just beat the Suns outright as a dog. They beat the Lakers outright as a dog. And then didn't they? Aren't they 3-0 already on this trip? I think I think it's 3, right? Let's see.
It is. They've won 2 in a row.
2 in a row. Okay. Yeah, they've won they won 2 in a row, and I think they finished with Denver. That's what it is. But yeah, this is definitely the pretty team, Kyle. They 6-4. They've covered 3 of their last 4 spreads. Look like 5 of their last 7 spreads. Yeah, this is by far the sexy team here. This line opened at 4.5. I saw it get bet down to 3.5, and now I saw it get bet back all the way up to 6. I really would like to have Sabonis, who wasn't present at shoot around. Yep. But I just feel like this is a spot where Sacramento got to push all their chips to the middle of the table. Detroit, Kyle, if it's one thing that they don't do well on the defensive end, they shoot the 3-point shot. We know Sacramento, they're not even shooting threes anymore. They're shooting it so bad, they just stopped shooting threes. They're like bottom 3 in frequency from the 3-point line. If it's one team that you are going to be able to get hot against from the 3-point line, it's Detroit. Remember, I said the other day, the Lakers don't take the under. I said that's way too low of a line to take the under. The Lakers will be able to score, but Detroit will be able to score. And I do think Sacramento's defense should be able to slow down Detroit's offense. I just think that Sacramento is going to be able to score in this game as well. This has to be an all-in spot. So I like Detroit. I played them first half specifically minus the 3. Number did move to 3.5. Then it came back down because the bonus didn't go through shoot around. I'm going to need him to get his ass up out there because I need him in the game for today. But yeah, that's the way I chose to play it. Sacramento first half minus the 3.
I mean, these two teams, efficiency-wise, are playing pretty even basketball right now in the last 10. The difference is Detroit's done it against a much stronger schedule. I like Detroit to win the rebounding battle here. I think the Pistons, you can make the argument that right now these two teams are pretty close, and one of them's catching 6 points. So, yeah, and if Sabonis doesn't play, I love this one. I got Pistons at 6, I think. But, yeah, I'm on Detroit here. I would imagine this is going to be what is considered to be a public dog. You can see the poll. Almost 70% of people take it Detroit. That would be indicative of sharp action, keeping this market balanced on the Sacramento side. I don't care. I'm on the Pistons at this one. Let's talk some NFL football. Chris, enjoy your day. See you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Best of luck, guy.
Later. All right. So this number's at 5 now, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, it's on the move.
And the total's now at 41.5, which
yeah,
not loving. I got 42.5 last night. Fuck
yeah,
is that
I
about?
like the over as well.
So
but my bets are Seattle -3.5. Honestly, now that it's at 4.5, 5,
I don't know.
That's probably where I would have it. So I don't know how much value's left on the Seattle side.
It's too much.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could put Seattle -4.5 up. My bet is 3.5. Don't necessarily even love that. Can you put the poll up? So because I would imagine everybody in the world is taking Sacramento, Seattle here.
The Sacramento Seahawks.
The Kings graphic was still up on my screen.
I get what you're saying.
I would imagine everyone in the world's taking Seattle here, and I don't like that. Caleb Williams has played well at home. Like, I do see a path to why some sharp action might be keeping this number in check on the Chicago side, but the problem is missing the entire left side of the offensive line for Chicago. It's just too much for me. I mean, this is already a bad offensive line. They can't run the ball. Now they're going to try to run the ball or protect Caleb Williams, missing the left tackle, the left guard, and the center. All three of them. 2 of those injuries are brand new. So it's not like, oh, they've been dealing with this. No, they haven't. This is brand. They have 2 added injuries to the Bears offensive line. Brand new this week. So I just don't see it. I don't see how you take the Bears here. Now, I hate this because, like I said, the whole world is taking Seattle, and chalk favorites have been doing well. So it's like around the time when that type of bettor it gets humbled is right here. You see in a lot of the comments like, oh wow, like these type of bettors are really feeling themselves right now. Mm-hmm. This would be the game where they get humbled. But unfortunately, I couldn't find a path to Chicago. I think Geno Smith should be fine. It's not the best matchup for him. The Bears run a lot of cover 3. He doesn't have the best numbers against cover 3. But Chicago, I also have Seattle team total over.
Oh yeah.
My main bet is circling the idea of the Bears defense being mentally checked out. This defense was already trending downwards, and then they fired Eberflus, and I think you might be able to make an argument that they have one of the worst defenses in the NFL right now. They can't stop anything, this Bears defense. So I think the Seahawks offense should be fine here. They should be able to run the ball to Charbonnet. That's why I like Prop Beaver's bet as well. Geno Smith on the road, you can trust him a lot more in his road games. So yeah, I expect the Seahawks to score some points. I don't think it's crazy to think Caleb Williams is able to make some throws and score points back. But as a whole, Seahawks should get up and over 23.5.
Yeah. So if you look at the past, I mean, Geno Smith on the road recently has been amazing, but that's really all when he's been an underdog. I mean, if you look at the margin of victory as an underdog, I mean, he's killing these teams. So if you look at it from that perspective, I don't really think it's a bad bet. I mean, the Bears have essentially given up. Caleb Williams is not that great against man coverage, but I do think there are points to be scored here for both sides. That's why I do like the over here. Even I had it at 42.5 for the low vig. I still like it at the 41.5. I don't really care about the reverse line movement. Let's talk about the trends here. 6-1 to the over in the last 7 matchups at Chicago. 9-2 to the over in the last 11 matchups overall. We've seen the Seahawks offense operate at a significantly better level on the road thus far this season, especially in the run game with Charbonnet. On top of that, the Bears offense with Caleb Williams significantly better at home as well. The over is 5-2 in the Bears' last 7 home games. Then there's the fact that I already mentioned the fact the Seahawks offense much better on the road, Bears offense much better at home. We've got the fact that the Bears defense, as Kyle said, has been so bad since Eberflus went out. They're allowing 34 points per game over the last 3 weeks, a 55% success rate, 20% DVOA. I mean, that's terrible. And the Seahawks defensive hot streak that they had, all of a sudden, that's looked like it's ended the last 2 games. I know they faced the Packers, but they also faced the Vikings as well, and they're allowing 28 points per game, 55% success rate, 6% DVOA, so it kind of looks like they're slipping as well. So I just think at an extremely low number here, with the way that the Bears defense is playing and the way that Caleb Williams for some reason, tends to wake up late in games when defenses are already giving up, kind of looking forward to the next week. I think that 41.5, 42.5 is a low number. And then the other play that I have from a prop perspective, I mean, how do you not play this? 11 straight opposing starting running backs have cashed their rush plus receiving line against the Chicago Bears, averaging 110. In fact, 7 have cashed this in the last 6 games off Chicago. They've managed 100 plus. This is the Bears' rush defense that was already an abomination, but since Eberflus is gone, they went from allowing a 36% success rate to a 47% success rate, and their EPA per rush has also increased by 15 plus. And what's really also adds a ton of value to this bet is not just taking the rushing line, but I like the receiving line as well. If you look over their last 6 games, this Bears defense has allowed the 2nd most yards per game, 3rd most yards per reception, and 9th most receptions per game to running backs through the air. So, I mean, they are just absolutely abysmal at defending the running back position. Charbonnet only played 22% of the snaps against Minnesota last week, essentially got a little mini bye week. Heading into this one, he got 2 full practices, so I'm confident in the health here. And with just 60% plus of the snaps, this is a guy with 99 plus yards his last 3 or 5 games. So I'm taking away the VIG here. I went with the 100 plus. I think you get that on FanDuel, on some other books as well. And yeah, those are my 2 favorite bets for this game. Normally I would bet my boy Gino on the road, but I like him more as a dog.
Someone said that neither of these teams are playing for anything. That's not true. The
Seahawks are playing for something. What are we talking about?
Yeah, the Seahawks are only a game out of the NFC West, and they play the Rams next week. I believe they need the Rams to lose this week, though. So I think if the Rams beat the Cardinals on Sunday, that the Seahawks will be out of it, even if they beat the Rams next week. I believe that's correct. But yeah, the Seahawks are most definitely still playing for something. But honestly, the reason I don't talk about that often, somebody asked me about this last night as well. The last few years, and I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but the last few years, I remember reading an article where the numbers were charted. I'm not like just spouting this from memory. This was really written out, and someone tracked it. The teams that need to win for playoff implications actually don't have a great hit rate. Maybe it's because the market overvalues it, and everyone bets this team like, oh, they need to win to get into the playoffs. They need to win for seeding. That team doesn't have a great cover rate the last 5 or 10 years or whatever it was. You got to remember that kind of stuff probably is going to get blown out of proportion from time to time. You got to remember on the other side, players are playing for playing time next year. They're playing for a new contract. They're playing for a roster spot. Coaches are coaching for their jobs. So the only person that may quote unquote not care about these late games would be more in the front office that might be worried about draft position and all that. As far as the unit that's on the field, they're playing to win. They're playing for their personal careers. So I think the whole who's playing for something is an aspect that definitely gets blown out of proportion, and it might be in our best interest as bettors to ignore a lot of that. Speaking on my personal opinion. But last year, I'll go find the YouTube video where I recited the article, but I quoted an article last year that tracked it, and the team, I don't want to misquote it or give out the wrong numbers, but the team that needed to win had a bad hit rate against teams that were playing for nothing. I'll go find it, and then we'll talk about it tomorrow or this weekend. I'll find the exact numbers on that.
He's not fibbing. I remember.
You remember, right? We did that video.
Do.
I remember. Yeah, I don't remember the exact numbers, so I don't want to just estimate.
David Chi-Town Hernandez, you said the FanDuel price has moved on Charbonnet to -110. I just checked. That's right. Bet365, though, actually has that +105, so you could get that there. Caesars also has it -101. So if you're not trying to pay juice on the 100 plus, those are the 2 best books to bet this line at. Let's hit the community parlay and the underdog.
Community parlay, the parlay we bet, yeah. Community parlay is for the community. We come unite, making a parlay, yeah.
Dude, I got beef with Tomlin after yesterday. Dude actually took money out of our pockets. Well, anybody who rode with me on the Russell Wilson
that 4th
over
and 2 punt,
in
that
the
4th and 2 punt.
What? It was just flat out malicious. Just needed 20 yards for Russell Wilson to cash that prop. A bunch of people in the Discord were on it, and it's just we're running the ball, but Najee Harris down 20 points on the last drive of the game. I mean, it's just disrespectful to the game of football. You would think a guy like that would have more fight.
Someone said, Sean Morrow said, damn, I guess I shouldn't have asked if these teams are playing for any. No, that wasn't like directed at you. I just like, it was a good idea. Like you brought that up. Like a lot of people, I'm sure, were wondering the same thing.
Wow, Kyle, you really have to do them like that?
All right, let's do the, you have an underdog?
Yeah, so this is the underdog here. We got Zach Charbonnet, higher than 94.5 rush plus receiving yards. And then DeAndre Swift, higher than 13.5 receiving yards. He'd be the other guy that I look at in this game. Seahawks do allow a ton of receiving yards to running backs out of the backfield. And on top of that, I mean, Caleb Williams missing a lot of guys on the offensive line, going to be facing a lot of heat, may see an increase in dump off. So, yeah, I would go with DeAndre Swift over receiving yards there. If you're not an Underdog member and would like to become one, you can in one of these lovely states in yellow. Just got to use the promo code BET, B-E-T, and you can get a deposit match up to $1,000.
3 letters.
And most importantly, really, not the promo code, but the fact that the promo code is 3 letters.
All right, cast your votes on that first leg.
Do I like Jackson Smith-Njigba? I love Jackson Smith-Njigba, but do I like him in this matchup? Honestly, I would have to see what the Bear. I'd have to see.
It's not the best matchup for Geno, man.
Well, the fact that we do know that Geno does not pass as much on the road, right? And I think that they're actually going to try to run the ball a lot here. I mean, the offensive line, they're already down their right guard here. Geno doesn't really do well under pressure. The Bears do bring pressure. That's the only thing that piece of shit defense can do at the moment. So, I mean, they can bring the pressure. But it's hard to say that Jackson Smith-Njigba. I mean, I'm certainly not going to tell you to fade him. There's that. Guy's on the heater of all heaters right now, but I do think it's a little sus. They're hanging a line. He's hitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight games. So that's something.
So you would call it sus.
That's sussy Phantom Tax.
You would
Ohio.
describe it as sus.
Yeah, that's something I would say. I mean, if we just look at some wide receivers.
Hold on real quick. Someone asked if it's rainy or snowy in Chicago. I looked at the weather last night, and it actually looked nice, like 41 degrees with wind below 10 miles an hour, which for a December 26th night in Chicago is beautiful. That's beach weather in Chicago this time of year.
It seems like in terms of like the recent damage against Chicago, it's pretty concentrated. Like one wide receiver per game is going off against Chicago. I mean, you're probably going to have Jalen Johnson on DK because Jalen Johnson doesn't really go into the slot. So, yeah, I mean, if you were to bet on one wide receiver on Seattle, I think it has to be Jackson Smith-Njigba. So.
Oh, you know what? I should put the two. They like Kansas State money line, and what was the other? Bowling Green money line was the other college game we talked about. What I'll do is we're gonna do first and second from this last poll. So first place and second place in this last poll make it. It's got the Seahawks, the 2 college football games, and the Pistons. They voted for the Pistons.
So Grizzlies is in there.
Right. Yeah. So far it's Thunder and Grizzlies.
Okay.
And then first and second from this poll, and we'll call it.
Thunder money line.
Someone says it's raining in Milwaukee. How close is Milwaukee to Chicago?
I don't know. I got another guy live from Chicago, and he's saying it feels fantastic in Chicago. He's saying he could not feel better from Chicago.
Billy Bob says he's wearing shorts and a coat.
That's my guy, Billy Bob. Yeah, he's saying he feels.
Someone email weather.com and let him know that Billy Bob is wearing shorts and a coat.
Yeah. They need to update the report.
Someone says they'll never take Kyle's weather advice. Well, fuck yeah, you shouldn't. I'm not a meteorologist.
And our weather advice is just other people's weather advice.
It's just someone else's weather advice.
That's the problem with the weather game.
You think I'm out there with the fucking barometer?
The weather game is just spewed information. Never.
I'm reading it from a website, you jackass.
You never get a direct source.
Kyle's a poor meteorologist. Yeah, no shit. All right, cast your votes.
All right, Seahawks definitely won that. And then is there one more thing, or is it just those 3?
It's Seahawks plus whoever's second place.
Oh, sorry about it.
You know what? Let me do another poll with the last 3 because the people who voted for the Seahawks will then get another vote. Kansas State money line, Bowling Green. Pistons money line, and then we'll give them. They also voted for. We'll give them another shot at Bucks money line because a lot of people voted for the Bucks.
Gotta give him a shot.
All right, what's the last leg? Sauce needs to hire a meteorologist.
Actually, no, we have an in-office meteorologist. It's
Yeah,
my thermometer.
Andy takes that shit seriously,
Well,
which is why we make fun of him often.
that's not the only reason.
All right, cast your votes. Cast your votes. Billy Bob says, "I'm in Chicago and I feel great."
He honestly had me wanting to go to Chicago because
Yeah,
I'm in
I
New
was like,
Jersey and it does feel great here. So
Yeah, it was a really uplifting message. Like,
Yeah.
I feel great. Wearing shorts and a coat.
have me want to put on some Chief Keef and just dance around and
Chief Keef.
see what's good in Chicago.
What do you think about the Lions team total over 36.5?
Who are they playing?
49ers. No.
School of the Blind? The 49ers.
I mean, he's talking about plus 455. So.
Okay.
But the San Francisco's defense has been playing all right.
Until last week, I don't know.
No, but they didn't even look bad last week. You got to keep in mind, Achan ran a 50-yarder in as time expired, like at the end of the game for no reason.
Yeah, and that
They also, one of the Dolphins' touchdowns, I believe, came on a turnover in their own zone. So, no, the 49ers defenses look pretty sharp. All right, what's the last leg here? Kansas State.
Kansas State. That's college football, right?
Yes.
Okay. I get lost with all these fake sports. Where's the... Okay. Oh, dude, I can't put it in the parlay because it's in a friggin'... They're playing Rutgers, bro. I can't see what the odds are.
Oh, right. Can someone shout out the odds? We can't plug it in because we're in New Jersey.
All right, well, I'll just... Kansas.
Someone plug in the odds for the community parlay, please. It's Thunder, Grizzlies, Seahawks, Kansas State. Sauce, what makes you think Geno Smith is not good versus cover 3 when his success rate is 10th and EPA is 11th? His completion percentage is 26th, yards per attempt 25th, and turnover-worthy throw rate is 35th. All the Geno picks come against cover 3, which I believe is the biggest criticism of Geno Smith, would be the turnovers.
Especially in the red
226,
zone.
according to the comments.
226?
Thunder money line, Grizzlies money line, Seahawks money line, Kansas State money line plus 226. Wait, someone else said 481. I don't know.
I think it was at plus 140 before the last leg on my book.
Kansas State's a big favorite, so it's going to be plus 226. That sounds about right.
All right.
Everyone, thanks for watching. Hope you all have a great night. Remember to bet responsibly. So Toledo blew the lead while we were talking, by the way. Pitt's got the ball in Toledo territory, 23-20. I'm catching 7, so hopefully I get that.
Weren't you weren't you people talking about that as if
they were up 2012 earlier. But as bowl season, man.
When will you people learn?
It's bowl season.
I
It's not really
hide in cower during my
bowl
games
season
while I
is
watch
truly
my bets.
it's like shooting craps. Like it's not much handicapping
Bowl
involved.
season.
All right.
What happens during bowl season stays in bowl season.
Everyone, have a good night. Please remember to bet responsibly. Hit me up at the Discord if you